everybody, this is Alyssa from Mink Arts and Crafts, and today we are here to kind of talk a little bit about how you can rechart canvases if you have a super confetti heavy canvas and you're not liking working on it or how it's turning out. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I did with this canvas right here. So this is Bahama Mama by the artist Corey Smith, and this comes to us from Distracted by Diamonds, and this is one of their older canvases. So as you can see, it says on the bottom 2022. I bought it, I believe, in 2023. It was one of the first canvases, one of those first handful of canvases I bought when I first got started diamond painting. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. It looks a little weird, but because obviously you can see the background here does not look like the background everywhere else, and I'm going to talk about that because that's part of the process. So basically, this was very much a computer charted kit. I highly doubt there was any hand charting done on this canvas here. And we're going to talk about that. So when you have the computer charting, it tends to be much more confetti heavy. And when you look at it over here on the left side, it doesn't look like we have all this crazy confetti. But in reality, it does. So this is one of those canvases. I'm going to be bringing you guys up and down, moving around. So we're going to come in down to where we would see, basically, I divide the canvas into 6 sections. And you can kind of see the borders of my section right there. We're going to come in just a little bit. So essentially, my section that I did essentially ran from right here over to the halfway mark, which was roughly like basically right here. So this for me was one section. I divided the canvas into 6 sections. So when we look at this section, you can see the background is 2 colors. And I did this section 100% as charted. So I don't have the drills to show you. I was in a kidding down mood yesterday and I didn't even think about it and totally kidded down these drills, which I did not keep because they weren't the best quality drills. But anyways, so with this kit, essentially you have the first section was pure confetti, and this background is literally entirely checkerboarded. If you know anything about me, if you've watched my channel before, you know that I do not enjoy confetti. I highly, highly abhor checkerboarding. That to me is like the worst kind of agony, is to have to checkerboard a canvas. Some people love it. I can't stand it. So this entire background was checkerboarded, and I am not like literally checkerboarded. And you can see those 2 different color tones. It's better when we're down here. But you can see they're very similar colors, and those color tones are just like literally checkerboarded for the entire background. And then as we come in here, this had a little bit of color blocking in these teals, but you can see how we have a lot of color changes right here. And then this was not a pure checkerboard. It would be like 2, 2, 2, 2. So you were checkerboarding with 2s to give it this look, similar right in here. And you can't really tell, but also the same thing in there with like a dark grayish blue and then the brown. This part wasn't too bad, but you can see how there's a ton of colors right here along the eye. And as I come down, one of the things that you can really see on the confetti is look at these palm trees. So you can see how I've probably got about 12 plus colors at least just in this one little palm tree. That's crazy. And this is one of those where it's typical for a very computer generated canvas to have the confetti at the edges where the colors transition from one to the other. And that's what I was seeing pretty much the entirety of this. Like we have this weird kind of like shadowing around everything, and even in like her face there's weird confetti, and all of this, like the arm also has some weird confetti there, and that was something. And if we look at these little fishies right down here, you can see how there's so many different color changes, and it's like the confetti where the fish meets the water. Same thing on this one. So, and then look at these flowers. They're not very distinct. We have tons of color changes, that type of thing. So basically in this, it's really hard to even tell that that one is a little brownish red flower, orange or whatever. So basically I started off with the background. So as you can see, there's the background right here, fully checkerboarded. I was like, I cannot do this. That I will not finish this painting if I have to checkerboard the entire canvas for the background. So I was like, I need to do something different. So what I did is I actually took those 2 colors right here, mixed them in my tray, and kind of like shook them up so they were well mixed. And then I placed them like pure straight color blocking, and you can see the difference where this is the checkerboarded, and then I just took and I just started placing. And I did this, I turned the canvas on its side and I work sideways. So this right here, you can see this pure was basically me just taking the 2 colors, mixing them up, and then placing them, and it went so much faster because now I was able to place that entire section of the background as if it was color blocking, which is my happy place. I enjoy color blocking. Some people don't. I do. So that's what gave us, and of course that's what on this canvas, because if you're going to do that, start from the beginning. Otherwise you're going to have this big transition. But I decided after I did that first section, I'm like, you know what, this is going to be an experiment. So the second section, I mixed it up and I changed the background. I didn't change anything else on this second section, just the background. So that's something that you can easily do if you have a very checkerboarded background. I personally actually like how the background looks on the rest of the canvas versus what it looks like in that top section. That looks too precise and neat for me, whereas I feel like this way that I did for the rest of the canvas really helps with the look. So then I did the other half, those other two sections like this, like that, where I mixed those two colors. And then I was looking at the canvas and I was like, there's so much random confetti. I didn't like how the fish looked over here. So I'm like, okay, when I get to the other section, I'm not going to do it because there's still a lot of that checkerboarding even in here. And it just looks too precise for me. So when I came over to the right side, I did my own thing. So I still did the same thing on the background. These little like waves have, you can see how many colors we have in those waves. And they just kind of look blurred almost. So when I did the waves on this half of the canvas, I just did them with that predominant color, and you can see how much cleaner they look, but they still blend in just fine. I started with the fish. I did the background, and then I did the fishies. And with the fishies, you can look and you can see the difference, how much crisper and cleaner these fish look compared to these two fish. And that's because I removed all of that. I pretty much removed all of that confetti from the fish. And I essentially, instead of placing, you know, all of these 20 different shades of color like you see right there, I did the background or the main color of the fish, which we're seeing it right there. There's the main color of the fish and then the accents in the accent colors. So I got rid of all of that border confetti on the fish. So that's something that's very easy to do. You just kind of say, okay, these are the color, and especially when you have something you can see. I did the same thing here in the flower, so you can see how much crisper these flowers look compared to, we're gonna come and bring it back down a little bit. See how much crisper they look right here compared to over here. So that was something else that I did. Because this one you can't even really see. So I removed that random confetti around the flowers, and I tried to, and they're a little bit rough. I'd probably change things around if I did it again. But, I mean, they were pretty rough over here, too. So I feel like this over here is a definite improvement to this here. I love how the fishies turned out. I also took and stopped. I didn't do any of the border confetti around this entire right half. I would just bring, like, the drastic color change of, like, skin tone up against the background. And then what I also did, you can see right here, basically, instead of doing this checkerboarding for this background here, I did the same thing that I did for the tans. I basically took these two colors, these two colors that are in here, and I mixed them together. Right down here, it's actually three colors, and because this is that same three colors, and over here is the same three colors. So I mixed those three colors together in my tray, shook them up, and then I placed them as if I was just doing color blocking, multi-placing. I did the two colors right here, which is why this looks a little bit neater, softer, and this is so precise, and I don't like the look of this. To me, it gives that obvious computer rendered look to it. And then as we came over, we're gonna bring us back up a little bit. So like I said, I did that. Her skin tone was very similar. It was supposed to be like almost a pure checkerboarded in her leg right here, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they didn't just make her leg like this color here, but that's how it was charted, so that's what I did. And then I did kind of place these as dictated for that portion, but anything else like this that was supposed to be these two colors or these multiple colors, I mixed the drills together. So that's what you're seeing right up into this big swath of, because I was looking at it and I'm like, I have no desire to checkerboard all of this greenish gray background right here. So I didn't. And you can see this is actually how it was charted, where the rain, or I was going to say snow and then I was going to say rain. So down here on the sun rays, I keep trying to say the wrong word for that. In my head, it was like snow, rain, I don't know. And then I was sun, but no, snow. No, I'm like, no, it's sun. So basically for here, this was a lot easier and more straightforward because that's basically how it was charted. It was essentially one color with the transition where it faded out to there. But this, I mixed the colors together and color blocked the background. This one was basically color blocking with a little bit of an accent. And then the sun, I would probably go back and take this brown off of the sun if I were doing it for real. Because the brown was there was like a ton of brown charted in the perimeter, and then all of the confetti border as well. I would probably, if I was going to do like make it that bright accent, I'll probably would take that brown out and just leave it as the orangey brown, the light orangey brown that you're seeing there. The center was fine, but it was supposed to have like greens and blues around the sun as well. And I'm like, that's just silliness. I did clean up a little bit of the eye right here. Not a whole lot because it wasn't bad, but I did clean up the eye a little bit so it looks a little sharper than what you see over here on this eye. The background detail of our tiki, that was completely fine. I left him as is. And I did also do some recharting on the parrot. And that was basically, I just took the areas where there was supposed to be all that extra confetti on the border, and I was like, nope, that doesn't want to be confetti, that wants to be this color. So that gives it a more distinct edge. So when you look, you can see how from our border here, it goes straight into the background. From our bird, it goes straight into the background. We don't have all of this confetti bordering, as you can see around the hat, and then like in there's a lot of those different shades. So I removed all of those to give it that look. And I have to say, when I look at this canvas, I'm gonna bring us up so we can kind of get a better viewpoint. But when I look at this canvas from the top down, or when you kind of look at it like this, you can see how this over here, super precise background, not a fan. I prefer the background that I did for the rest, but even in this area, these color zones, to me, it just is very distracting when you see it like that. So that's why I recharted it and did it like this. But that's how it turned out. And it was a pretty straightforward fix to do. And oh yes, and then as you can see on my palm tree island right here, I basically did the entire palm tree island as that dark tone that we're seeing, which I think was like a 939 or something like that. It could have been, yeah, because there's no 310 in this canvas. So I did the background, or it's like an 820, but one of those really dark colors. Instead of having all of the grays, you can see how fuzzy this looks right through here from the distance and how sharp and clean this is. And that's because I basically did anything that was supposed to be palm tree or the hill, minus like the little sun accents, those 3 little accents there, I did as one color instead of, all of the colors like you see over here. Like these literally had like 10 or 15 colors. I mean, look at how many colors we have in that little palm tree. It's ridiculous, crazy, and it's so indistinct. But then we come over to this palm tree that I did, and you can see how I really just have the 2 colors in there. And this is done even on so you can do these things, and you can do them even on a round canvas. So, because these are rounds. So it made it a lot, to me, it gave it a much crisper look. This is very like crisp, but also fuzzy around the edges. So in that aspect, we don't have that same fuzziness around the edges on this right half as we do on the left half. Also, it looks cleaner. So we now have all of the details stand out more, like the fish and these flowers stand out so much more than they do on this side. Same thing with my island. Those look much better over here than they did over there. I do have to say, and I love the look of the background colors like this, much better than this super precise pixel boom look. So anyways, that is a little bit of how to do something like this. If you have a very computer charted kit with like colors where you're supposed to checkerboard the whole thing, just mix them together. I kind of try to pour equal. I would look at like what the symbols were in that section I was working on, and I would say, okay, it looks like there's more of this symbol than this symbol, and I would try to match that ratio as best I can. I was guesstimating, and then I just placed, and I just kind of would shake the drills up, and I just placed randomly, as if I was color blocking that whole area. And as you can see, I like how it turned out. I think it turned out much better in the areas that I worked. Like I already liked this section with the background better than that first section. And then, so that half was much better there. And then when I did the right half, I completely did my own thing. And I used the charting kind of as a guideline, but I was like, I'm not doing that confetti. I'm not doing the confetti borders. I'm going to clean up some of the features of things like the flowers, the fish, the island, our macaw, and then the borders and the transitions between different color zones. Like I said, I still am not happy with the brown around the sun right there, but it's a learning process. And I decided that this was going to be a learning canvas as I was working on it to kind of experiment and see what could happen. So that is kind of how it turned out. You guys can let me know your thoughts, if this is something you've done before, or if this is something that you are like, oh, hey, now I could probably do this. If it's something that you have an idea of a painting that you've been avoiding or something that you should be working on but haven't because of that checkerboarding, if you're like me and don't like confetti. If you're a confetti lover and don't mind it, that's fine. I also, when I see those computer rendered canvases with all that computer confetti, I like a hybrid where you do the initial computer charting and then you go back through by hand to clean up some of it. So this would be something that like you would do, this would be the computer rendered as is, as it came. And then you would take it in to a program and you would clean up all of this unnecessary confetti here and make it look like this. Clean up the unnecessary confetti there and make it look like this. So those are the things that I like about hybrids, is they do clean up a lot of that unnecessary confetti. So the confetti you have is what you need for the actual image. Like a watercolor painting looks fantastic as a hybrid charting because it still gives it that soft look. Whereas if you have a pure hand charted for a watercolor painting, it's going to make it look too crisp and sharp to me. But this is one that really needed this fix. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. I think it looks a lot better like this than what it did originally. So anyways, that's what I have for you guys for today. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing a little bit about how I doctored this canvas and made it, like, I was much happier with how it turned out versus that first section that I did up there, because this was agony. I was like, I cannot do this for the entire canvas. And I like how it looks so much more so now that it's done versus what it looked like up there. Just anytime I see that, I'm like, ugh, not a fan. So anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this, and now this gives you some ideas and some help on how you could do this to your own canvas. And if you have any questions on anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'm glad to answer. I enjoy adding specials. This one I didn't add any specials, but I enjoy adding specials, doing all of that stuff, recharting things that I don't like, all of that. So have a great day, everybody, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.